Hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here. So, real quick, I want to talk to you guys about values versus politicians and the political system that we have to deal with right now. So, in this day and age, we've got politicians and political parties that are all over the spectrum, okay? From far left to far right, and literally a million different things in between. What we've seen lately is things be branded and classified as specifically one type of thing when really there may be more diverse categories that it should fall into than what it's being played on as on the television. Now, this isn't as far as the left goes or as far as the right goes. This is all across the spectrum. So, earlier today, somebody asked me, they said, "Hey, Marcus," they said, "well, what are your values and what party are you a part of?" I said, and we got into a good conversation and it went very well. So they told me what they believed and some of their background and stuff like that. And then they said, okay. And I said, here's what I believe. I'm a conservative futurist. So that means that I have more traditional values, but I see that a lot of stuff that's been done in the past isn't going to get us where we need to be in the future. But I keep to my values. So that's like legitimately who I am. Okay? I'm an environmental conservationist. I believe very much in values from church. I'm a Christian myself. Doesn't matter to me what religion you are or who you take to bed. I don't care. That's on you. Because I'd say if there's a week, right? 5 out of 7 days, I'm more of libertarian on most things. I don't care what you do as long as it's not hurting somebody else or interfering with somebody else being able to progress and move forward. I'm for smaller government. I'm for less government overreach and less government interference in your daily and personal lives. I don't like that. The government's decided that they want to be the parents for everybody's children. They want to be your parent and they want to be your boyfriend or your lover, and it's insane. The government has really gotten out of hand. What's worse off than that is the government promises you things like a boyfriend or like a lover or like an absent parent, and they never actually deliver. So for instance, as you can see, I'm black, so that's not anything like that you didn't know, right? But when it comes to politics, you have to think about how many things black people are promised, continually promised by politicians. Now, this next part isn't a hit on a party, but it's a fact. So specifically, the Democratic Party promises black people lots of things, but the lot in life of black people has gone completely down in a tailspin fashion whenever Democrats promise us stuff. So first we had the issues where they started to promise us things like expanded welfare programs, okay? Now this isn't like regular welfare, some food assistance, that right there, food stamps, that's a Republican policy. Did you know that? And it's usually tied to the agricultural bills. Did you know that? Yeah. And it's actually one of the few social welfare programs that we have that actually generates a profit back into the economy. Yeah, it's true. It's true. For like every dollar that we spend on food stamps, it generates anywhere between 10 to 25 cents of revenue, which is honestly an amazing thing. So, but we've been promised a lot of things by Democrats, and they never show up and materialize. You'll say, well, Marcus, what are you talking about? I'll give you an example. So over the last couple of years, they've been promising black people all types of stuff. Better living conditions, more, They're using the terms inclusivity and equity and stuff like that. Is that what we've actually seen? Is it? No, let's break it down. So they gave the alphabet community an anti-alphabet people bill. Okay? They gave the Asian community an anti-Asian hate bill. What did black people get? Nothing. Oh, we got a holiday, right? A holiday, but no substantive actual bill to help focus on our needs, our development, our growth, or anything like that. Not that I'm saying that that's something that we need. Really, what black people need is the government to get out of our way so that we're able to succeed and actually put together programs in which we're able to, instead of getting a hand out, get a hand up, so that we're able to be upwardly mobile. But, of course, the people who tell us that they're going to do things for us are really, really lording over us, and it's what would you call it, moral superiority, so it's a sense of moral superiority that many of these people on the liberal side have for black people. So they feel like they're so much better that they can tell us what to do, that they know what's best for us. That's where the whole mentality came from in the welfare system, that you don't need a father at home. And that's been an extreme detriment to our children, okay, in the black community. Even Obama said, you're 9 times more likely to go to jail if you're in a house without a father. You're more likely to be in poverty. You're more likely to have all types of negative aspects happen if you don't have a father in the home. However, the programs, the social welfare programs that the Democrats have pushed and constructed together really are not able to be had if you have a man, a husband, or some male in the house. Now, if you're older than me, you remember in the 80s and the early 90s that they would legitimately cut you off of services if they saw a man's shoes at your door. So, when it comes to policies, right? It's really about the policies and what's being delivered to us. Don't give me a plate of poo and tell me it's chocolate, right? Don't tell me that you're going to do something for me that's going to help me, and it's really not. It's keeping me under the foot or under the thumb of the government so that I'm not able to go above the level and the station that they want me at. And that's really the way that the government policies have been coming out of the Democratic side. So I don't fancy that at all. Let's just take Rochester for an example. I live in Rochester, New York. The Democrats have been in power for the last 60 years. 60 years, right? No Republican, no conservative, no libertarian, no Green Party, nobody else has been in power in an elected position in the city of Rochester, New York for 60 years, actually a little more than 60 years. So the thing is over 60 years, all of the policies that have come out of the Democratic Party in Rochester have been the effect of what we see today. So what do we see today? We see black and impoverished communities worse off now than they were 20, 30 years ago. We see the educational system in tatters, which has a majority, I think they came out with the numbers the other day, it's like 86 to 90% are black students. And it's in tatters. But they get more money than anybody else in the whole country. We have the largest school budget, okay, in the whole nation. It's absolutely insane, okay? And you'll say, well, Marcus, this hasn't always been like that. No, it's been that way for a considerable time. We've, in general, for the last 20 plus years, had the third largest budget as far as schools go, and school systems go, in the nation. Except we have the lowest turnout. We have an extremely high non-attendance rate. We have an extremely high fail rate. We have some of the lowest proficiency rates in the nation. I mean, if not the lowest per dollar spent. Like I said, we spend the most. So these are poor policies, right? And I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about policies overall that continue to add on to each other and compound. It's kind of really upsetting. So we've got a whole bunch of different policies that have been harming us. In my neighborhood, we've got tons of derelict houses that once stood up, that once were beautiful houses, now torn down completely. For each house they tear down, it's about $30,000 to tear a house down. Somewhere between about $20,000 $25,000 and $30,000 to tear a house down. Yeah, it's actually pretty expensive because then you got to dispose of the stuff and everything. But these houses were once nice. So where have been the policies of us rehabilitating those houses? You mean to tell me in the last 60 years we couldn't figure something out? Oh, but also in the last 60 years, they've been continuing to push blacks and Hispanics out of their neighborhoods and into smaller and smaller areas so that they can keep them in their place. Now, this is all Democrats, all in our neighborhood. You'll say, well, Marcus, Republicans aren't better. You didn't hear me say that. But the fact of the matter is nobody's giving Republicans a chance. And to be honest, look at the schools. Look at the poverty rate. In almost 20 years, we've gone from 33% poverty to 31% poverty. And that's mostly from people dying and moving away. You know, like that's not from people becoming upwardly mobile. And then they'll do studies, $30 million to study why poor people are poor. Anybody can tell you why poor people are poor that doesn't have a lot of money. It's because the policies of the people in power are holding us back from being able to advance. So for example, social services. If you are on social services, you go to get a job, they almost immediately cut off things like your child care. How are you gonna cut off child care when somebody's gotta start a job to work? Are you insane? Like, you must want them to stay on social services. And I've experienced this myself firsthand being a business owner. I had a young lady one time, she had 3 kids. She'd come to work, she started working and she's like, oh, well, I can't work anymore because they're cutting me off of social services and I need my social services. And I'm like, well, but you just started working like 2 weeks ago. Like, they're already doing that? Like, that's insane, right? And I don't know who's going to take care of my kids and this, that, and the third. That's insane. Those are the policies. Those are the Democratic policies that are from the people in power right now. This isn't a new thing. This is stuff that's been going on for years, and they haven't sought to fix it. These are things that need to be amended. If we want people to be able to be upwardly mobile, to be able to build generational wealth, to be able to have financial freedom, these are the things that are going to have to be addressed. Oh, wait, but why would they want you to build generational wealth or have financial freedom so that you can go up a little bit so that you might be near their status or near their level? Because at the end of the day, they really want to keep you down. And people say, oh, well, Marcus, now you sound like one of those people that's on the left. Oh, see, that's not it. This isn't about actual color of skin. It's about class. The unfortunate reality is, due to decades and decades upon policies that have been put in place adversely to affect African American and black communities, as well as Hispanic communities, this is the end result. There are a lot of us in poverty. This is what happens when you take the family and you break them apart. This is what happens when you push the narrative that, oh, I don't need a man. Have you seen how expensive things are? Have you seen how expensive things are? You don't need a man? That doesn't make much sense. You kind of do, especially if you want to build a family, because a family is a unit of 2 or more, and you need both parents to really raise the children so that you can have a successful family that will create and break the generational issues that we're experiencing so much in black culture today. Oh, well, Marcus, you're talking about so much about black culture, but it's the same thing with most issues with poverty. If you look at the numbers, you see similar things across the board. It's just that it's most highest impacted for blacks, because as I said, they promise black people stuff, but they never deliver. So let's talk about the Republicans, right? So somebody told me, they said, oh, well, the Republicans, they don't do anything for black people. They've never done anything for us. I said, well, for 60 years, that's longer than I've been alive. There haven't been any Republicans elected to any position that represents me, so I couldn't tell you, So they'll be like, oh, well, Mitch McConnell this, what does it call him? Kevin McCarthy that. First of all, Mitch McConnell, ill, right? Mitch, ill. Nobody like him. And for any of you guys out there that like him for some weird and strange reason that is beyond my comprehension, I'm not mad at you, right? I'm sure you have some sort of a good or valid reason, but I couldn't see any reason to like him. None. Okay, same thing goes with Kevin McCarthy, except he's a little bit better, right? I'm still mad at what the hell was his name? Oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. The skinny guy that would always wear the green ties. I forget his name. When I'm still mad at him, okay? Because it's like the leadership is supposed to represent the whole party. That's not true. You look at what the Democrats have. You got Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Are you serious? Have you listened to them talk? Have you seen the policies that they've been putting forth? Do you think that they care about the average American citizen? Absolutely not. Do you think that they care about blacks? Absolutely not. And the fact of the matter is, at the top of the pyramid, which both sides of rulership are on, they all travel in the same circles, have the same friends, have the same bankers and everything. Okay, so the people at the top don't care about us at all. But the fact of the matter is, it ends up being policy. Who has the more advantageous policy for us? So let's go into values, my personal values. I believe in faith, family, finances, and freedom. Those are, to me, the most important things. You know, as a black person, it's common in our community that we're like, we don't want the government to interfere in our business. Whatever we got going on, we don't want the government interference. That's a very Republican value. We don't want the government to take a lot of money from us. We don't want to pay a lot of taxes and give the government our money. That's also a very Republican standpoint. We want to be able to have smaller government so we can participate in our schools and be able to reach out to our elected officials and actually get something done when we need something done. Also, a crucial thing to the Republican policies and value set. So all of the things that we are really taught as children in the black community, you know, take care of your family first. That's an extremely Republican value, you know. And I'd say honestly, it transcends Republicanism, and it's more conservative, right? So it's even more conservative than Republicanism. These are all extremely conservative things. And it shows because we tend to have a strong thing for family in the black community, even though they've continued to try to rip us apart. Constantly, continuously. And this starts back in, you can really see it in the modern era, and we could go back to slavery times, but all of these are policies that have been implemented by the Democrats. I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. You know, Andrew Jackson separated from the Republican Democratic Party and made the Democratic Party because he wanted to keep slaves. The Democrats wanted to keep slaves. That is a fact. You go into the Reconstruction. The Reconstruction, we had more black senators and representatives in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. than we have today. Then the Reconstruction was brought along by the Democrats, and they kind of shut us out of all of that. And we haven't been able to get up the same way we've been back then. So then we go into Jim Crow, right? Closer to where we are now, Jim Crow era. All of those policies were put into place by, you heard it, Democrats. And you can look all of this stuff up. Like, I'm not talking out of my neck. This is real stuff. You can look it up. Go look it up. So then now we come up to the new age. So we talk about JFK, right? So when JFK was assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson took office. Lyndon B. Johnson was extremely racist. Okay, he was a Democrat. Extremely racist. Wanted to be the president so bad, but was from Texas and extremely racist. Not saying that Texas is racist, but saying that he is racist, and he comes from the Deep South. I mean, well, it depends on who you talk to, whether you can consider Texas the Deep South. But I guess back in that time period, right, you could say that Texas was the Deep South. So when it comes to stuff like that, he got into office, and then he expanded the welfare system to make blacks dependent on the government, but also pushed to separate fathers from their children. And this is all through policy we're talking about, right? So policy. So all this time they've painted Republicans as the boogeyman. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Republicans are the greatest thing since sliced cheese, but I'm going to say that the fact of the matter is the Democrats have done more than any other party or any other group to harm blacks. And you'll say, oh, well, what about the KKK? A Democratic organization filled with Democrats. That was the KKK were Democrats. This is a thing, and you need to look up your history if you're not sure and you don't know. Like, and again, I'm not talking positive about the Republicans. Okay, but these are the facts. So if we're to look at what we should choose as far as a party goes, the values that we have as a peoples, not only as a black people, right, but as Americans, as you should have, are more conservative and traditional values. So I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution. Okay, I stand up for the Constitution, and I believe it is an extremely valid document, and it has been continuing to show its value even after centuries. It's still there. And right now they're trying to take away so many of our rights and liberties in the Constitution, and nobody from the Democratic side will stand up for it at all. It's only the Republicans that'll stand up for it. And more so the conservative Republicans. So, because why? They care about freedom, they care about family, they care about faith. You know, they care about these things that are important that we somehow have disassociated with American culture because the media and the people in politics have been telling us to. It's not good. That's why we're in a very negative state in America right now. Okay, and we can do better. We just have to make better choices, and it comes down and boils down to policy. So again, you heard what my values are: faith, family, financial freedom, financial responsibility, and regular freedom, American freedom, the American sense of freedom. Okay, the Constitution. These values matter. Our values matter. Caring about your family matters. Caring about the American dream, which they continue to try to take away from us and tell us that it's not good. You know, owning your own house, having 2-3 kids running around, and they continue to chip away at it. They'll tell you, oh, well, don't have kids because global warming. Okay, I hear you. I hear that. I understand that, but that makes no sense. That makes no sense. We are on the verge of a people, as far as blacks go, being extinct in 3 generations. Yeah, it's a fact, because each couple of black people is having 1 baby. So it goes from 2 to 1, just like that, in 1 generation. We're on the verge of being extinct if we don't start having more babies soon. Then you talk about the whole world, right? The world population of humans is in decline. We have the lowest birth rate we have ever had, and we are slowly going extinct. You can look it up. There have been published documents in the last couple of weeks and stuff talking about a population apocalypse because people are dying, are growing really old, and we're not having enough kids. So that humanity may actually go extinct because we're not having enough children. It's something that you should really look into, which we're not going to get into whether it's got anything to do with population control or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is at the end of the day, there aren't enough children being had. You know, we're going to shrink in numbers as far as population of humans go, and it's very dangerous, and we're in a predicament right now where we may end up going extinct. But again, back to values, right? We need to focus on our values, how it's going to impact our city, our state, our nation, and how we're going to be able to move forward from where we are. America's not in a good place right now. New York's not in a good place right now. And Rochester's not in a good place right now. And all of that is because of poor policy that has been coming out of our legislature in Albany. So I'm running this year for Assembly, for the 137th Assembly District, which covers Gates and like 80% of the city, the whole Southwest, everything south of Lexington down to Genesee Park Boulevard, then everything on the northeast between St. Paul and Norton and East High School. So all of that. So it's a very large swath, but my Assembly District is the most heavily impacted by overdoses and overdose deaths. We are also the most heavily impacted by crime in the whole county, and for most statistics, in the whole state. And it's bad. My elected officials are nowhere to be found, and of course, you know which party they're from, because again, It's only Democrats that have been in office. But why do they continue to implement policies that aren't benefiting the greater whole of the people in the city? And it's not just the people, right? It's businesses too. Like small business is a really big thing to me, and like they're not concerned. They don't care about small business, right? That's at least how it seems. Even medium-sized businesses, it's bad, and we deserve better. That's why I'm fighting hard to deliver us better, because I believe in certain values and things that are very important. So I consider myself a conservative futurist. Yes, I'll be on the Republican line. Yes, I am a registered Republican, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like Frederick Douglass was a Republican, I'm a Republican, because the Republicans are the party of freedom. Like Frederick Douglass said, I'm a Republican, died in the war Republican, and I have never intended to be of any other party but the party of freedom. And that's the Republicans. The people who freed the slaves, the people who brought us things like food stamps. These type of things that the Republicans have done in the past, that they try to say, oh, well, the Republican Party's and Democratic Party values have been switched. That's a lie. That's a lie. You can't point to exactly where it happened or when it happened or how it happened or what exactly part of it is a true thing. Because then we can go back to 94 and we can talk about the Clinton crime bill that Bill Clinton passed. Again, separating black families and black fathers from children. Okay, putting more black people in jail than ever before. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, the Republicans are for Trump and this, that, and the third. First of all, they're not. Again, I already told you, I don't like most of the people in leadership. That's a serious thing. I said that all day long. Okay? But Republicans aren't the party of Trump. They're the party of values and policies. Freedom, family, faith, finance. That's what the Republican Party is about. And there, of course, just like the Democratic Party, there are people on both sides that are just no good, right? But under the previous president, he actually did federal prison reform with Meek Mill's Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. And I forget the other guy, He actually helped 21 Savage get out of, what was it, the Netherlands? When he was attacked by racists and they put him in jail. Seriously? So, when it comes to what's been done for black people and who's concerned most about black people, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your bum and tell you that the Republicans care more about black people than the Democrats do. I'll tell you one thing for sure, though. The Democratic Party has done everything that they can do to do what they want to do as far as policy goes. And all of those policies, whether intentional or purposeful, have harmed, hindered, and set back black people continuously throughout the history of their party. This isn't a new thing. It's continuous. So as far as the Republicans go, their values are in the right place. Their policies are in the right place. But we don't have a large enough voice as a contingent of black people in the Northeast. I'm talking about the Northeast specifically, because in other states you don't have that problem. You see, like we got Winston Sears in Virginia. Ooh, I love her. She's awesome. We've got Alan West in Texas. Oh, he's awesome. We got Tim Scott. He's awesome. We got Byron. I forget Byron's last name, but he's really good too. We got a lot of good black Republicans out there. And Hispanic Republicans too, which is a whole nother conversation for another video. But we need to understand that in the Northeast, if we want better representation, and you want representation in the Republican Party, you have to, 1, start voting Republican, and 2, you have to actually start researching the Republican Party, seeing what the actual values of the party are, not what you hear on the media, not what you see on social media, not what you're getting through a tinted glass so that you can't actually see what the actual values are, right? So you really got to do your research. But again, if we want something done different, we're going to have to vote different. And we're going to have to start voting Republican, right? Because the Democrats have had their chance for over 60 years. They've had sole control. Right now they have sole control in Albany. They have power in the Senate, they have power in the Assembly, and they have the governorship. So you explain to me why over the last 4+ years, having a supermajority, the quality of life for black people has only gone backwards. It's time that we get more values and more serious people into office that have better policies. And it's time that we start voting different and we start voting Republican. So I encourage you all to vote Republican this year. And if you can't vote Republican for everybody, even though we got some great candidates this year, this is actually the first year that I think that I can actually vote all Republican. Normally I just vote the person and not the party, right? Because I care about the policies that they have. I care about what they think and what they believe. But we've got so many good candidates on the Republican ticket this year. It's really a year where I can go straight down the line on the Republican ticket. We got some great candidates for Senate. We got LaRon is running for Congress. He's great. We've got a lot of good people. We got Jim Van Bretero, who's running for my Senate district. And we got a whole great lot of Assembly candidates that are running this year. Myself as one of them. We've got Tracy DeFlorio. We've got Orlando Rivera. I fully endorse Orlando Rivera. He's got my full endorsement. So if you live in the 136th Assembly District, vote for that guy. But really, you can vote all Republican. But he's a very solid dude. I don't say that much about many people at all. So you can vote Republican this year. You got some really good choices. You really do. And I'd encourage you that even if you're not able to vote Republican, vote Marcus C. Williams. I'll be on row B. That's where you'll find me, November 8th. Vote Marcus C. Williams for 137th Assembly in Rochester, New York, and Gates. You guys be blessed, be well. Send me any comments, questions, or whatever you have, and share my stuff. I appreciate you all. Catch you later.